This is Representative Gene Ward at the State Capitol, giving you an update on some of the things that are going on of importance to you, and particularly if you live in Hawaii, importance to your community. Today I have the honor of part 2 with Dr. Emogene Yoshimura, who is the proprietor of the Koko Crater Stables. Dr. Yoshimura, welcome to A Word with Ward. We want to hear all about what's going on in the equestrian world and all the things that now may be in the making with Koko Crater. But before we get into those issues, what should people particularly know about your background? You're a veterinarian, you have a PhD. Give us a sense so people can get to know who's behind the Koko Crater Stables, which, by the way, is in Kalama Valley. If those of you who haven't been there, it's right next to the Botanical Gardens. What's the background of Dr. Yoshimura?
Well, I'll tell you, it all starts when I was 15 years old.
Whoa, okay.
And I learned to ride at another city-run facility, the Town and Country Stables at Kapiolani Park. Mm-hmm. And 6 months into my learning experience, the city closed down the stables. They shut it down. And I said, oh, where do I go? And the city at that time had opened a new stables at Koko Crater called Koko Head Stables.
And what year was that?
That was 1962.
62, okay.
And I was just a teenager back then, and I had a horse, and I had nowhere to put that horse because we were homeless because the city had shut down the stables. And so we went to Koko Crater Stables, and I met a lot of people there who I still have contacts with, and that was like 50 plus years ago.
Well, started at age 15, and now you're only about 21, so you...
Of course.
As it goes. But where did you study and get your degree in, and what's your...
Okay, here was my, my purpose in life was to work with animals, and to work with horses in particular. But I was at University of Hawaii Graduate School in Psychology, and I studied developmental psychology. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I worked with goldfish.
Literally?
Literally. I worked with goldfish. In my senior paper, I wrote a paper on training goldfish in discrimination learning. That means they learn to discriminate between a red and a blue key. And I found that goldfish were extremely good at learning. There's
intelligence in goldfish.
Highly intelligent.
I'm sorry.
And goldfish also show a lot of the emotions that we people show, because I trained them to respond to one color key, red. And every time they hit the red button, they got shrimp. The feeder gave them shrimp. And then I played a dirty trick. Okay? I did reversal. I trained them to hit the blue key. If they hit the red key, they got nothing. They hit the blue key, they got the reward. But they got so upset, so frustrated, they would actually back up and zoom into my keys and destroy them.
The red keys?
The red keys.
Which they used to get food from. And
they showed a lot of emotion I never knew goldfish had. So I decided, well, maybe this is the time to work with higher animals.
And you bumped up into what was the next higher animal? Or was this the beginning of your horse?
Well, this wasn't the beginning because I taught at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in the Human Development Department, teaching developmental psychology for 11 years. And on that 11th year, I asked myself the big question. I really wanted to be a veterinarian, take care of animals, especially horses. And I'm not getting any younger. So I think I should see if I can do it. So I started taking classes at University of Hawaii as I was teaching too. And I would run into some of my students in the class, Dr. Yoshimura, why are you taking microbiology 150? Oh, for fun. Sure. So after a year and a half, I had enough credits and I applied. And my professor in the animal science department said, Emogene, no one ever gets accepted the first time around, so be prepared and just apply again. So what I did was I said, well, I probably won't get accepted this year. My dog had passed away that year, so I said, I'm going to get a new puppy. So I got a new puppy, December. And in February of that year, the next year, I got my acceptance letter, Washington State University. We are pleased to report that you are accepted.
First time application?
First time, yeah. I just broke all the rules. I was lucky. I was just lucky. And that puppy was raised by my parents and became extremely spoiled. because I was away for 4 long cold years. But I have, in those 4 years, I gained experiences that I am so happy that I was able to do. They were the happiest years of my life, and when I graduated with my degree, I was the happiest person in town.
So in veterinarian school, you study about animal husbandry in general, or animals specific, or was it horses that you specialized in?
Animals.
All of them.
Horses, dogs, cats, snakes, and other illegal animals in Hawaii. So we learned all of them, including the exotic animals. But it was just the most rewarding experience of my life. And I encourage anyone who has ever thought of studying veterinary medicine to go for it. Now there's a difference now because back in '84 when I started, the percentage of male-female was 25% female, 75% male. When I graduated 4 years later in '88, it was 75% female, 25%.
Flipped exactly in the opposite.
And now it's 90% female.
Repeat for those who are listening and may have missed that. 90% of veterinarians today are female, or that's what's being produced in the veterinarian schools?
That's what's being produced.
90-10. How do you explain that?
Well, I explain it that we've urbanized. And most veterinarians now work with small animals.
Cats,
and the
dogs.
the large animal veterinarian is more or less an antique. And I think it's very important to encourage men to still pursue the field because it's being overrun by females. But it's such a rewarding profession. It really is not. It's not lucrative. You don't make as much as the MDs, but it is very fulfilling.
But you've enjoyed now at the Koko Crater Stables how many years as the proprietor there? When did you actually, how did you get back into where you were boarding your horse and then you actually became the proprietor?
I was a boarder all the time from 1962 till the time I left for vet school in '84. And then I kept my horse there, and so I was a boarder all the way through.
At Koko Crater?
At Koko Crater.
So from the 60s to now 2015, you've been affiliated in one form or another with Koko Craters. And you've enjoyed every moment of it.
I've enjoyed every single moment of it. It's just, it's just my passion to provide a place where people can enjoy horses and learn about them and be educated about them and enjoy the thrill and the pleasure that horses can bring.
For those who haven't been there, and I've talked to a few people who've heard of the stable but they haven't actually gone, what does it look like, and what are some of the, you've got 30 animals, and what's the general view and sense of the place that if people came there, what kind of a verbal picture would you paint of it?
The minute you drive up the driveway, you immediately get a feeling of freedom and openness. It is just magnificent. You drive straight into the crater. That's what you're doing.
That's after you pass Queens Gate. You're in Kalama Valley. You pass Queens Gate.
You turn left.
Turn left if you're coming from Sandy Beach.
Yeah,
right?
Turn left if you're coming from Sandy Beach. Go straight up the hill and you see our house. We have a house, a green house with a white fence. And then you go around the corner and to our gate. And you drive up a long driveway.
And then you get hit in the face with peace.
You do. It is like going into a temple. And I've had boarders as well as students tell me, you know, Emogene, I have a problem with my blood pressure. I have health problems, but since I've been here, you know, I don't need my medication. This is my medication. It's just my salvation. And so I'm not the only one who feels that way. It is a beautiful place. It's totally magnificent. It gives you a feeling of happiness. And then when you see the horses, that adds to it.
So people can go up and learn, like my daughter, can go learn how to ride?
Absolutely.
Is Kiko still around?
Kiko is not.
Kiko was a bit old when my daughter was riding a number of years ago.
Kiko was in horsey heaven, but Kiko had the pleasure of providing our present trainer's daughter with a mount during their wedding. They got married on horseback in our grass arena, and
so you actually have there can be weddings there.
Well, no, just for our trainers.
Oh, for those inside of the
it was
staff.
Inside.
Okay.
It was just magnificent. Kiko was the one of the ponies. We had a white pony, a black pony, a white horse, and a black horse. And it was a formal wedding, so all the riders in the wedding party were in formal garb on horseback.
And Kiko was one out of 30 horses that...
Oh no, back then we had 50.
Oh, 50 horses. And a person didn't have to be a member, they were just a member of the public. They could come in.
Absolutely.
What could they do?
They could ride, they could do a lesson, they could ride in a summer day camp, because we had summer day camps. They could have a birthday party. They could do just about anything that involves horses. And the value of Koko Crater is it's the only city-owned facility that offers to groups such as Make-A-Wish, 4-H, Pony Club, the Kalihi Palama kids. We had a program with the Honolulu Police Department. Back in 2000, 2001, they actually picked up kids from Kalihi Palama. It was called the Explorer Program. They packed them in the barn, gave them cowboy hats. They all drove up. I bought pizzas for everybody. Everyone got a pizza, and after they had their pizza, we taught them how to ride. It was a wonderful experience. These are kids who never had been out of the city, and they were able to come on into Koko Crater and enjoy the freedom of riding.
I'm going to fast forward to 2008, 2009, when I first interviewed you. It was a bit of a crisis time, maybe not unlike now, where the city said no more trail use, Emogene, with the Koko Crater Stables. Could you explain how the trails were part of where the riders would go and what they do now without trails?
Yes, absolutely. The trails are around the Botanical Garden. It's a 2-mile loop trail. It's a lovely trail to walk a horse on. And our boarders, over the years, inevitably used it to cool out their horses. So they, after working their horses in the crater, they would go out on the trails and leisurely walk their horses. And it was a gift. It was a blessing to have. But 5 months into my present contract, the city took it away. It was allowed at that time. They took it away on the excuse that horses were not compatible with humans. Even though for 45 years we had never one incident of a problem with a hiker and a horse.
What about manure or some other excuse that they might use?
Well, that was never an excuse back then, but in 2008 they said the manure is offensive. So I agreed to go out and pick it up. But some of my boarders would go out and they didn't do that. So that became a problem. But if I had a botanic garden, I would want manure.
Yeah, what do you think? Plants, botanical garden,
they
manure,
love it. Yes.
free?
Yeah, they love
Spread it rather than pick it up, carry it away?
It's wonderful.
So that was kind of the first incursion to where I think either then or now compared to where you can use this car, but you can't drive it outside the driveway. So if you're going to go riding at Koko Head Stables, Koko Crater Stables, where can the horses actually go? Just in sort of the parade?
Okay, we have a 10-acre facility.
Okay.
It's reasonably sized, and we have a large grass arena on the bottom. It's almost an acre large. We have a larger grass arena up top, and we have a track. We also have a sand arena and a round pen. So there's a lot of places to ride, but nothing beats going out and just throwing the reins over your horse's neck and walking and enjoying nature.
So not running, but walking.
Oh yes, I mean you can run on the trails. I used to do that when I was a kid, but I used to get yelled at a lot. So walking on the trails, relaxing.
How fast can a horse go? I'm just curious.
A horse can go 45 miles an hour at speed, but only for about 10 minutes at most, not even.
45, that's considerable. Being the Kalanianaoli Highway is 35 miles an hour speed limit, and 45 is substantial. You know, we always watch cowboy movies. We never know how fast they look like they're going fast.
They are.
Never had a measurement of that. Fast forwarding again now to 2015. We don't know the verdict, but we do know that the city has put the stables out to bid again.
Yes.
We do know that there's a restriction that there will be no trails,
Yes.
and we do know there's a restriction that there will be nobody able to live on the premises. Could you explain what that, as a new twist to what the contract used to be?
Yes, absolutely. For the past 25 years, every 5 years there's a bid coming up. And every bid proposal has included 2 caretakers, minimum of 2 caretakers on property. My present lease allows 2 caretakers on the property. And to actually take care of a horse requires being there 24 hours a day, because anything can happen at any time. Let me give you a case in point today. Okay, February 6th at about...
That's exactly today.
Exactly today, right. At about 11 o'clock this morning, I got a call from the barn, and the call was, the roofs are coming off because the winds are huge. They're just flapping. We had some wind damage back on the 2nd of January, and we had to evacuate those
the big
horses.
storm that
right.
We had in
Well,
Hawaii.
I haven't had it fixed yet because the insurance company hasn't come through. But now it's at Lloyd's of London, and they assure me that they'll be able to put it through. But in the interim, we lost more roof. And my person there said, I have to evacuate the horses because they're going crazy. And so I have a person there all the time. And there is a person there who got those horses out of danger. And if you have no one on the property who lives there, the horses are in danger. And not only are the horses in danger, but people are in danger too, because people might come in and handle horses that they shouldn't be.
I understand the city and county said, well, you can get a security guard to come in.
Well, the city said, yeah, you can hire a security guard at night, but security guards know nothing about horses. Horses are extremely powerful animals, and when they get scared, they will just react. They'll literally either kill themselves or kill themselves and you in the process. So if you know how to handle a horse, you can help them out of danger. If you don't know how to handle a horse, it's dangerous for both the handler and the animal.
So Wakanut Training and other Hawaii Protection Associations and others don't have particularly guards trained in horse behavior.
Every stable in this island has someone living on property. And no horse owner would allow their horse to stay on a property without it.
So they have they don't have guards, they have caretakers, trainers, or someone skilled or understanding animal husbandry or behavior of horses.
Now the exception are the horses in the pineapple fields. Believe it or not, there are stables in pineapple fields, and no one lives out there, and terrible things happen.
Where is this?
Kunia.
Oh.
I'm a veterinarian, so I know.
For those who want to get up in the night and
everywhere.
ride a horse for free, you can go to Kunia. Emogene has filled us in on that.
But, it's very scary. We have a big homeless problem now. And if the homeless find that there's no one at Koko Crater at night, guess what? They'll occupy Hawaii Kai.
And that is seriously becoming a more serious problem in Hawaii Kai.
It would be horrible.
I regret that actually the nation as well as the state has kicked the can down the road. It's a growing problem, and basically they're being exported from Waikiki throughout our neighborhoods, and Hawaii Kai has been no exception. So that would be a magnet for people
Absolutely.
to come.
Absolutely. They would sleep in the horse stalls.
Horse stalls, there's a house there.
There's a house there that should be occupied by a caretaker. And the house is owned by myself. I bought it. I bought it from the previous concessionaire. The previous concessionaire, George Henry, used it to house the caretakers for the horses. And he told me, Emogene, you're going to need to buy this house from me because you're going to need a caretaker to watch the horses. And if you don't buy the house, the person has no place to live.
Which reminds me of the third fast forward to February 13th. Friday the 13th. That's where they're going to say, Emogene, you're in, Emogene, you're out,
Right.
or who the new bid or the winning bid will be. That we don't know because today's the 6th, but today is the day that they at least shortlist who's qualified to be on the final application and bid list. So as we speak, I understand you don't really know if you're on that
No,
except,
I don't.
but after how many years did you say you had the stable?
24 and a half.
24 and a half years. You would
Yes.
think you probably would be qualified to go into the finals and then their selection. But let's say, for example, on the 13th, a week from today, that you were not accepted. You mentioned something in your lease that you have 3 days to do, which sounds almost impossible. Could you mention that?
Yes. In my lease agreement, it says after termination, the person with the lease has 3 days to clear out everything.
And you have a house to move?
And I have a house to move. I've got 30 horses to move. I've got a backhoe. I've got a tractor. I've got saddles, bridles, and all kinds of.
So that is, what belongs to the city then? What belongs to you actually?
The city owns the buildings.
That's the barns?
The barns, the office, the tack room.
Okay, so all the equipment is yours then?
All the equipment is mine, and there are some portable buildings on property that belong to me too, that I can take out. And so the city owns the major structures, except for the house and the other property. So I have a lot of things to move.
And there, for a new bidder, that would be considerable startup costs, and also just to get things up and running. So what are the options? What should the people of Hawaii or Hawaii Kai think that, well, we're going to get a horse stable, but it may be somebody other than Emogene. Is that the possibility? Or is there a possibility that the city may just say, okay, nobody gets the bid, and we're going to take the stables out of operation for horses?
That's my nightmare.
That is my nightmare as the representative of that
You know, I would
community.
like to get the stable concession again, because it's very meaningful to me, and it's very rewarding. But in the event that I don't get it, I would hope that the person who gets it will continue the work of providing riding to the public at affordable rates and provide a family atmosphere. That's what we try to do. We provide a family atmosphere. My fear is that the city is going to disqualify all bidders, or say that they're not acceptable, which they can do according to the bid, and they're going to shut it down. They're going to shut it down, and that wonderful facility will be unavailable to the community. And my further fear is that they're going to shut it down, give it to the botanical gardens.
And they have the right to do that by a clause in the bidding process that says if they don't like any bid, they don't have to accept any of them. So in effect, they have a license to shut it down.
Yes.
And that's where I think all of us should be concerned. All of us should be watching closely what happens on Friday the 13th in terms of what may or may not occur. And with the kindness of your heart, you say, look, Emogene would like to do it, but if she doesn't, you wish the best for any other vendor.
We need this kind of facility. This is the only city-run facility of its kind. If it's gone, there is no other place on this island where they can.
I've talked to a number of constituents, and not one of them, not a single, oh no, it should be definitely kept in the community. It's an integral part of our identity, almost like the Great Lawn. It's a signature of who we are. Not everybody has gone and ridden there, but how many would you say in terms of the community participating? Primarily younger people? And what's the demographic of your customer base?
I'll tell you, I'm laughing now because when I first took over in 1990, we were overrun with kids, okay? And that's great. That's wonderful. But now, after the year 2000, 2010, just a few years ago, I have these calls from people my age. And they say, I used to ride when I was a kid, and I want to do it again. My kids are all grown, and I want to have some fun. Can you help me? They say, I'm old now, but you know, I'd like to start up again. So we have tons of these people.
Very
and
interesting.
It's so rewarding. Yesterday I had a grandma from Canada, and she came with her daughter, her son-in-law, and her 2 grandchildren. And I gave him a lesson. And guess who was the best rider of all? Grandma.
No kidding.
She said, I used to ride when I was a kid. I haven't been on a horse since I was 16 years old. She got on that horse. She said, oh, it feels so good. So, you know, horses have a healing property. And people realize it when they come to the barn. They look at the horses, they look at their eyes, they touch them, they say, oh, how soft they are. And you don't even have to ride a horse to get that healing potential, because they just give off these wonderful vibes that tell you that you are part of nature, they are part of nature, and they are happy to be your partner.
How did the lady from Canada know about you? How do people know about the stable? Is there something we can tell people? You want to look what this is without going? Is there a website or?
I'm laughing because when the city took away my trails back in 2008, and when they chased away my borders, and I had no borders, I was struggling to survive. But I was determined that we were going to survive. And so I checked out the internet, and I learned about something called Groupon. And I learned about it to one of my boarders, actually. She said, Emogene, you're suffering now. You need to get a shot in the arm. Have you heard of Groupon? And I said, no, what's that? She says, well, you better fill out an application. So I turned to my internet, I got Groupon, I told them about myself, and they started selling discount rides, discount lessons to the public. That first year, we sold $27,000 worth of rides within 2 months.
Through this group, what is the name of the group?
Groupon.
Groupon,
yeah.
Not a coupon, but a Groupon.
It's a coupon that you save money, and everyone knows about it all around the world. We had people come from Beijing, bought a Groupon.
Okay.
And from other parts of the world, they said, we heard about you, and we're here. And it saved us.
So it's been able to.
But it's dying down. That first year we made a lot, but now it's not the same. But it kept us alive.
Emogene, unfortunately, our limited time has almost expired. Do you have any parting comments that you would want to share with the people of Hawaii?
I would like to invite anyone who's interested in seeing us and visiting us to come on out. We're at the end of Kokonani Street, inside the Botanical Garden. We have a lovely location. We would love you to come in, and we would love to share our gift with you. And that's what I have to say.
Emogene, thank you on behalf of the community of Hawaii, on behalf of the community of Hawaii, for the equestrian teaching and the pleasure and the peace that you've given to the community. Thank you so much. And for enjoying what you're doing. I just see you're wired to do this.
I just love it.
So maybe there'll be a part 3 where Emogene and her new series and contracts, but we don't know until Friday the 13th. This is Representative Gene Ward leaving you on the edge of that note, as all of us will be looking forward to Hawaii Koko Crater Stables being a permanent part of our community. So thank you again, Emogene. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time. Aloha.